Welcome to Politics Now. We're here today talking about Congressional District Number 4 with one of the candidates who's thrown his hat in the ring to run. That's former Assemblyman Jim Marchant. Jim, thanks very much for being here.
Thank you very much, Steve. It's a pleasure to be here.
So you served in the Assembly between 2016 2018.
That's correct.
You defeated an incumbent to win that seat. And you were very, very narrowly defeated. I think it was 135
votes yeah.
For re-election. So I guess my first question is, that's got to be tempting to run to try to retake that seat.
It is.
Lawmakers never as vulnerable as their freshman re-election.
It is, and 135 votes, you kind of look back on it and you think, gosh, what could I have done different? And
knock on more doors.
Knock on more doors. There's a lot of things I look back and I say, boy, there are ways that I could have gotten those votes pretty easy. Because you don't have to get 135, just half of it,
Half
right?
of it, yeah, half plus one.
Yeah, so I take full responsibility for that. I was probably trying to help others more than myself, and I should have paid more attention to my own campaign. So I take full responsibility for that.
But so why not go after that seat again, as opposed to running a much bigger campaign for a much bigger district, a much bigger seat? That's
a good question. I loved being in the Assembly, and that seat, like you said, was considered safe for us as Republicans, and I could probably go back after it. But I guess my political views and philosophy, I like what can be done in the Congress. I'm kind of a bigger picture guy, and the things that we could do for the state here, I'd love to do it in the Congress. And I think that I've been working in and around the Congress and know some Congress people up there, and I think the things that I can offer, I would like to do it in Congress.
Okay. Now we know the congressional seat that you're running for is a little bit tougher.
It is.
Than your old Assembly seat. It's 41% Democrat, about almost 32% Republican.
Right.
You've got about 21% nonpartisan there. It's a D+9 advantage. 35,205 more Democrats than Republicans.
Yeah, we realize that. It's a tough district for Republicans.
Not impossible.
Not impossible.
Crescent Hardy has held that seat.
He has held it before. And if you look at Cook Index, it's a +3 district. So they look at likely voters and that kind of thing. So it's a little more attractive, a little better for us if you look at it that way. And you know, my goal is to just do the best we can. I know it's a tough hill to climb for us, but I feel like I can give it a good shot. I think this cycle is going to be as good a cycle for us as any we've had in a while and in the foreseeable future. So it's basically President Trump will be the president or the nominee for the Republicans on our side. And then the number 2 on the ballot will be the congressional districts. And then, of course, you have the state Assembly and Senate races, that kind of thing. So,
where are you on Trump? Do you think he's going to help your campaign, hurt your campaign? Are you a supporter of the president?
Yeah, I am a supporter of the president. I absolutely love what he's doing for our country. I think the tax cuts were great. It spurred the economy. And a lot of things some of the things that he's done that the people don't really realize yet, I think, is what he's done with regulation. I'm a business guy. I come from the business background, and I know what it takes to start a business, and going through the red tape of planning and building permits and that kind of thing is a nightmare for businesses. And then you have regulations on top of that are there to hinder businesses, in my opinion. So I come at it from a business point of view, and that's what I think I can bring to Congress also, is to continue what President Trump has started. And I want more tax cuts, actually. But in addition to that, I want to address the spending problem. And I was very happy to see that he came out and said something about spending recently. And I don't know if you've seen that, right?
Yeah, no, I saw he did say something about spending, but he's also signed off on a deal that will give us the biggest deficits we've had.
I know, and that is a huge issue in my book. That's something that.
So if you were there now, you would vote against that deal.
I probably
you would tell them no.
Yeah, I probably would, just like all the debt ceiling increases. I think that we really need to pay attention to our spending, and there's so many ways that we could cut spending and that would affect our deficit positively. So I would be in that camp. I'm more of a conservative.
Would you cast that vote if you knew it would result in a government shutdown? Boy,
that's a tough question. I probably would. As you know, in the assembly here in Nevada, I cast some votes that were, I was the only one that voted no on some things. So, I'd take a hard look at it. I think we got to force people to get to the point where we're doing sound monetary and fiscal bills for the people of the country.
Yeah. So. One last question on Trump. You're obviously running your race. He's running his race.
Right.
It's not the same thing. When a lot of Republicans talk about Trump, they talk about the things he's done for the economy. He's talking about the tax cuts, regulation, et cetera. They shy away from some of his rhetoric, some of the things that gets him in trouble in social media and all that. Do you think that will hurt you at all if you align yourself with the president?
It kind of depends on what he's done right before the election, So I'm sitting on pins and needles.
You want to hide his phone for the last 2 weeks before.
Exactly. Like, let's stay off that Twitter a little bit but his intentions are good, I think. But the way he goes about it, I think it ruffles some feathers. And me, I'm a tough guy. It doesn't bother me too much. I know what he's trying to get done, but he's from New York. He's a New Yorker, right? If you know a lot of New Yorkers, and I do, that's the way they act, and nothing wrong with it. It's just the way they do things. I'm from the South. I'm a Southern gentleman. I like to do things a little different,
a little more genteel.
Yeah.
Well, you mentioned fundraising. Let's talk about fundraising. Stephen Horsford has raised nearly $800,000. He's got almost $600,000 in the bank.
Right.
You've raised more than anyone else other than Horsford in this race.
Right.
118, almost $120,000, and you've got about $85,000 in the bank. So you're spending very parsimoniously.
Right.
There.
I'm tight.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm very tight.
So are you going to be able to raise money to be competitive? I know that's one of the things that the national committees look at.
Yes. One of the things that I've been able to do throughout my lifetime, even in business, is raise money. And I think I've showed it here. My opponents that are in the race, they're only at like 17,000, so it's virtually nothing, and that won't even get noticed in Washington. I mean, and you know as good as I do, if you can't raise money, whether you're a Democrat or Republican, you don't even get noticed. And I thought I was doing pretty good with 118,000, and I was in Washington last week, and they're telling me, well, that should be 400,000. I'm thinking, gosh, do you know how hard it is to raise that kind of money, $2,800 a pop? I'm used to here in the state here, we can get corporate money that's 5,000, right?
Yeah.
So
5,000 per election.
5,000 per
10,000 per donor.
That's right, per donor. That's right. And I'm thinking, gosh, and I'm doing really well. I've got some amazing donors nationwide. Like founders of Home Depot, people like that, and some of the really good Republican donors. And I'm really proud of that. And you just got to call them.
Somebody once described fundraising for federal contest to me as trying to fill a bathtub with an eyedropper.
I can vouch for that. Yes, it is.
Well, let's. We talked about the politics. Let's talk about the issues. What do you think are going to be the top issues in your race? What issues do you want to address? You've already mentioned a couple of them. Spending.
Right. Spending. Tax cuts. I want to help the citizens of Nevada and the country. With the spending issue and get more money in their pocket, which President Trump has done. I want to continue that. But like we discussed, the spending is a huge issue, and I think we need to address that. And immigration is another one.
Yeah, where are you on that? What would you do? Would you continue the policies that President Trump has put in place at the border, building the wall?
Well, I would enforce the laws. That's kind of where I'm at. Try to enforce the laws, and I think they do need to be tweaked a little bit. I actually liked the Bob Goodlatte bill from last session, and it pretty much dealt with everything, even the Dreamers and DACA. And I was for making them legal, bringing them out of the shadows so they don't have to be worried about being deported or their parents being deported, that kind of thing, if they were dreamers. And I'm still for that. I think that that's something that we really need to pass. And I don't understand why my party, and sometimes, as you know, I'm at odds with my own party. I'm kind of an outsider. So I think that we need to deal with that sensibly and try to enable the dreamers to come out of the shadows, like I said, and we can do that. And I don't know why my party didn't do it, because we had control last session.
Yeah. Now the family separation issue has become very big in the news. The conditions in those detention facilities, which are privately run detention facilities, become a big issue. And then just the policy in general, family separation. Do you agree with that or no?
Well, no. None of us agree with that. None of us want that to happen. But the bad laws that are in place are causing it. And that's what we have to fix. You know, we have to fix the root problem of it, and we won't have that issue. And so if we had sensible legislation that would deal with our immigration problem, we wouldn't have that problem. We wouldn't have the child separation problem, because nobody likes to see that. That's terrible. I mean,
you if you get elected, you will probably be in the minority. You've been in the minority before, so it's nothing new. You know how that works.
Very used to that.
Yeah. But if you could accomplish just one thing as a freshman when you got to Washington, D.C., which one thing would that be? Which one bill would you pass, or which one issue?
Oh, gosh. You know, probably fiscal bills, like dealing with maybe the spending and waste. I'm a big waste guy. I see, and when I was in the Assembly, I saw a lot of areas where there was waste in our government. And, you know, I wanted to try to address that, but being in the minority, of course, you can't do that. But I at least could identify it, and I say, okay, we've got a duplicate program here, or we've got waste here, we've got corruption here. As a matter of fact, there's a lot of corruption in our government, and I would love to be able to address that. That would be a huge issue for me.
Yeah, so you want to be on the Government Reform and Oversight Committee, it sounds like.
I would like that.
So tell me if there is an issue or a vote or something that Congressman Horsford, the incumbent Democrat in this seat, has taken that you disagree with, that you will bring up on the campaign trail to say, he voted for this, I completely disagree, I'd do it completely differently if I was there.
Pretty much all of them. Yeah, I mean, he votes in lockstep with Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats. And, you know, this cycle here, and I firmly believe this, that is going to be a choice between socialism and capitalism. And I am definitely a free market capitalist conservative, even more than some of my own party. So I believe that that's the way you do it. You grow the economy, and it helps everybody. And that's, like I said, that's one of the things that I like that Trump's done. Even though ignoring the deficit, which I don't like, he has spurred the economy. And a lot of people that I talk to now have jobs, and they have one job now as opposed to 2 or 3 jobs, part-time jobs in the past. So we're going in the right direction. We just need to keep doing that and fix some of the things like spending that we talked about, and keep going.
Yeah. When you say a contest between socialism and capitalism, do you think that the Democrats that are there now actually want socialism? They want government to own the means of production?
Boy, yeah, I think a lot of them do. Yeah, I think there are some in the party that are cringing at some of the ones that are in the news now that are abdicating socialist policies, and so they're kind of in a predicament themselves. And I talk to some of them, you know. So I'm friends with a lot of Democrats, and they they're like, boy, I wish this wasn't the way it is. Yeah. And yes, I really believe it is. We're headed down that path. And I don't believe in it. I think socialism is not good. It's not what our founders intended. And so we need to get back to the basics of free market capitalism. And like I say, even in my own party, some of those, you have crony capitalism. I don't like that. I'm more of a free market capitalist. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
In terms of comparison to the incumbent, Congressman Horsford, tell me why you think you would be a better congressman than Congressman Horsford.
Well, just based on some of his the votes that he's done, I guess the people that he has to follow, he has to vote a certain way, or he you're not there. And that happens in our party too.
Sure, that happened to you in the assembly. Probably
right.
They put some pressure on you to say, "Hey, this is a caucus vote. Don't break ranks."
That's exactly right. And I'm an outsider. I'm a rebel.
You did break ranks.
Yeah, and because I did it for the reason I did it and voted that way is because I believed it helped my constituents, the people of Nevada, not the special interest groups. And so I look to take that to Congress too. We have to be able to stand up and no matter whether it's a big donor that donated to me, you have to be able to do what's right for the people. And that's what I want to do. And I think we need more people like that in Congress. And like I said, you have the crony capitalism on our side. And it's actually on both sides, but if it's not right for the majority of the people of the state of Nevada and the country, then we shouldn't be voting for that. If it's going to pad a few people's pockets, I'm not for that.
If you get elected, you're obviously going to go back there and be serving right alongside some of those people who you just described want a completely different approach to the economy, to government, to everything else. Do you think there's any possibility of those two sides working together, even with the ideas being almost diametrically opposed in some instances? Is there room for compromise?
Absolutely.
And how would you go about doing that?
Well, you talk to them. And that's one of the things I did in the Assembly. And you've seen my record. I've had the most conservative voting record in the Assembly in the 17th session. But I was able to talk to people on the other side and actually be friendly with them and try to come to a solution, try to get to the point where we're passing bills that benefit the people of Nevada. And one of the interesting things is, and this kind of surprised me, is one of the staffers and for one of the Democrats on the other side, after getting to know me a little bit, she said, you're a cool Republican. And I'm thinking, okay, thank you, I appreciate that. But that was what I was known as, because I would get invited to the Democrat events after the floor session or whatever, after all the committee meetings, and I'd go and I would hang out with them too. And that's what I intend to do in Congress, because the only way that we're going to be able to get anything done is to talk to each other. And my job is to convince them that my philosophy and free market capitalism is the way to go. And I'm pretty good at convincing people.
Maybe you could reach out to that person who told you that and get an endorsement.
I know.
At least put that on some of your flyers.
I know, that's right.
The cool Republican.
I was a cool Republican, yeah. And I know exactly who it was, so yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Jim, thanks so much for coming down and discussing your campaign. We hope you come back in the future.
Anytime. I'll be happy to come back.
Sounds good. All right.
Thank you very much.
Good luck in the race.
Thank you.